just like honey, sweet to taste on burning lips. Wanna lie beneath the water, feeling icy fingertips. Soothing nectar to my body, wash the image from my eyes. Dirty streets and hungry people, drink the water, dry your eyes. Let's not look at the reflections, listen to the music made. Drinking water's ease the mind, thoughts of you begin to fade.
The nation is under siege. The nation is under siege.
I can't hear you.
Who's that up there on my shelf?
Hey, listen, one time, just one time, turn your goddamn mic on before you start.
All right. I was trying to
stop it. Turn your hat around and turn your mic on.
All right. Let me get this shit together. I'm turning down the music a little bit. There we go. All right. Listen. Good evening, everybody. This is The Body We Stand on this special The Body We Stand. And it's kind of strange, but we've had big news and it's lining up perfectly. The stars are aligned tonight because it's Sunday night and it's The Body We Stand. We are on Facebook right now. You can find us on The Body We Stand, the group page. We ask that you become a member. We are not monetized or anything like that. It's a private group, but if you ask to become a member, we will approve you. Also, you can find us tonight on Environmental Coffee House, our good friend Sandy's site. And if you're unfamiliar with that, please check it out and please subscribe to them. So we will be live there tonight. Also, we are on YouTube, and we ask that you subscribe. If you have a channel on YouTube, please subscribe. We are also not monetized there, so the more the merrier. It is Sunday, July 21st, and it's roughly 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And if it's that time, it's also time for our guy from Arlington, Virginia, and that would be our journalist, our educator, our teacher, our disciplinarian for the Facebook group. He's just about everything, and he's not a dilettante. He really isn't. unless he says he is, of course. But that's David Price.
I'm not a dildo. What'd you say?
I said a dilettante, and you
Oh, I
knew
thought
what I
you said.
said.
No,
No,
I thought you said.
it's your
All
sordid
right.
mind going
Well,
on.
why? You're all excited. What? Something go on today? Did I miss something?
Yes,
I don't
something
know.
went on today. The Phillies
Really?
won against Pittsburgh, I believe. No,
Well, they're winning enough. That's good.
well,
Phillies
they've
win
been
is always
losing
good.
of late. But
All right.
more
Let's
important, we
start.
all know what's happening.
All
And
right. Let me go first.
all
Usually I
right,
let
you
you
go
go first, but
first.
Joe Biden today did something that will go down as one of the most gracious and magnanimous things that a U.S. politician ever did. Look, Joe Biden done a lot of things, been around forever, right? In a good way. When you get to be president, he got his shot, and he actually stopped Donald Trump. That can never be taken away from him. So that's point one. He stopped Donald Trump, something Hillary Clinton, who's a very capable woman, an extremely capable politician, was unable to do. So he did that. Then he took the chaos and the ruin that was the 4 years of Trump and the COVID pandemic and built us back as strong as could be done. Then the only thing he couldn't stop, and none of us can stop that, is aging. And those of us who are older, I'm 72, realize that at 62, it's one thing, at 72, it's another as you go into your 80s. And he still performed admirably as president. But I do believe that he was, suffering the woes and frailties of aging, whether it's physical walking, whether it's mental, whatever. But Joe is a fighter. He always was a fighter. He's always been a fighter. But the difference is he's a fighter with empathy. He's a fighter with sympathy. He's a fighter with understanding. Of course, a fighter has courage, and he's a fighter with intelligence. And those traits don't always go everywhere. And I think over and above that, politicians say, God and country, God and country, God and country. I've heard Trump issue those words.
Right.
Yeah. So I think Joe Biden really believes in this hierarchy, reverse hierarchy. He's at the bottom, his country is next, and God at the top. Okay. And so it's God, country, and me way down here. And he did his job, he did it well. If I could give him 750,000 attaboys, I would. But today he announced that he will not seek re-election. Now, I'm sure there's people out there who are angry. They wanted Joe. They wanted to see him finish. Wanted to see him finish the job. They will feel that the media, or the elites, or the funders, or Barack Obama, or somebody pushed him out. I don't think anybody pushed Joe Biden out. I really don't. I think Joe, given two things, which were kind of related, getting COVID again for a second time, and he had to isolate for a few days. And that gives you time to reflect, right? And I think maybe he went back and watched some of the things that people were saying. I'm sure he talked to people. I know he talked. I mean, we know he talked to Barack, and we know he talked to Nancy Pelosi, and we know he talked to staff. And of course, the Biden family is what the Trump family pretends to be. They are indeed a family. The Trump family, they're monkeys closer tied than they are. And at the end of this, he did, as I say, I'm 100% certain of this. It will go down in history as one of the greatest things. And Lincoln saved the Union, right? FDR got us out of World War II. This ranks up there. This is going to rank up there. Not maybe quite, because unfortunately we always kind of galvanize around war and success in war. And but this is a war. This is a war. And what he did was he said, you know what? I think we have a better chance of winning this war, which is seriously, to me, this is more important than the Civil War in certain ways. This is our Civil War. This is the second Civil War, but it is a war between.
And that's a serious comment, and we don't mean that in anything less than that. It is a civil war, cold civil war, but it's a civil war.
There's a T-shirt out there that I think sums it up: dictatorship or democracy. That's your choice. And what's good about that, in one sense, is it doesn't matter who the Democrats run; they're going to be the champion of democracy. So, Joe Biden, it's only two simple words, but I really mean them, and I think America should mean them. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for having the courage to do the right thing. Thank you for having the courage to do the hard thing. It's easy to do the easy thing. And I still believe in his heart of hearts, he probably still thinks he had a chance to beat Donald Trump. Wouldn't you? You know, you did it once. But I think when he sat down and calmly reassessed, now you'll hear people say, and there's probably some truth to this, there are reports that once, you know, the debate and all that happened, they're down 75% of the funding they hope to get. So, I mean, there's other reasons, right? But he listened. Can you?
And it couldn't sustain itself. The arguing, the bickering could not sustain itself. Forget about the money. This could not continue.
True. But I mean, you know, we're kind of preaching to the choir here. But think about this. I mean, just for a moment. Could you see Donald Trump backing down from anything by listening? You know what? It's kind of ironic. If they did shoot him, and we'll talk about that later tonight, he was shot in the one piece of his body he never uses. He never uses his damn ears.
Right.
You know, he doesn't listen to anybody or anything. So, Joe, I'm going to repeat myself as simply as I can. Again, just two words. Thank you.
Right. And I'd just like to add that, you know, in a certain sense, you know, Dave and I talked about this, you know, why we were not going, we thought that Bernie wasn't the guy, even though we both would certainly have chosen Bernie and give him the chance. But, you know, the movement to the center is essentially what gave us our victory against Trump. Had we not moved to the center, there's just not enough on the left to take over what's going on the right. For every person on the left, there's, you know, 1.5 on the right side.
Right.
So in this sense, Biden should we win, he will have saved the country twice. And then, as you say, you know, you'll look back at it historically, and then you'll see it was a great victory. And I think Biden probably had to say to himself, you know, even if I back out and she loses, at least for myself, I can say that I did it for the country, and I did what you told me to do, and I did it. And if there's anybody to blame, then it's not Biden; it will be the people who tried to kick them out. But that being said, I don't think there needs to be any talk now about this. It was unsustainable, whether he was the right man or not, or will be the right person to leave or not. The point is, it is not sustainable. Just like the division in the United States is not sustainable. However, it has to be divided. That's what we are right now. But if we're going to have a choice between losing and winning, we know which one we want. And now we have to go balls to the wall, and we have to go right behind the candidates. And we're certainly at the beginning stages now, but already you've seen on Divided We Stand on Facebook, Dave, there's been a lot of chatter. This has been one of these days where everybody's trying to find out, you know, which person is the best person to run with her.
And I believe that choice will come at the Democratic convention. I think Kamala, as the presidential nominee, gets the right to kind of pick her vice president. She won't do it in a vacuum. They'll look at all kinds of factors, and you know, it's kind of fascinating. saying ever since this is true, ever since Donald Trump took his fat, lazy ass down that golden escalator, everything's been weird. Things that have never happened. This is the first. All this stuff is here. So what I think we should do, Brian, and maybe I'll bring them up and then you can comment on them, or we'll do it together. Let's look at some of the possible pairings. Now, the first thing I want to make a comment about is I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, I was just going with Joe Biden because he was there. My belief and what I would tell anybody is you have to vote against Trump getting in, and the only way to assure that is vote for any Democrat, because Kennedy, Stein, Manchin, if he enters, they can't win. So you
have to get out of your head. If you're on the left, but unlike us, you don't feel it needs to go to the center. Understand this. Even AOC is moving, if you've noticed, a little bit closer to the center.
AOC and Bernie were right there. Now, I want to come back to that, but let's get to these.
Yeah, let's look. I do have some listed here. You want to go just what we have?
No, no, just keep them off. You don't have to bring them up. I think we just focus on us. So I wouldn't bring them up.
And please, everybody in the chat, please. This is
put your choices up.
Put your choices up, and maybe a short sentence or two saying, why. Yeah. So it would really help us.
We're going to talk about Bashir, but we're going to matter.
And we'll post them.
I'm going to go out on record and say who's not going to be a running mate. Ready? These names, they're all going to be qualified.
And please say why, too, Dave. Also, it has to apply to us, too.
Oh, no, I will, of course. All right, so let's start with who I don't believe. Now, again, I could be wrong. The most mentioned name of all, not for vice president, but up there, was Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom will not run as Kamala's vice president. Two reasons. Number one, they're both from California. It would make absolutely no sense. And number two,
because California's already won. It's not a swing state. That's what you're saying.
That, and also there may be a provision. I got to look it up. I just saw it just before we went on air. There may be a provision in the Constitution where two people from the same state can't run. So anyway, I think we can eliminate Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom will be a very viable candidate in the future, but not now.
That's our question, by the way. Let me just ask you this, just to get out
sure.
of it. He has the looks, and we know that looks have. Does that play in any votes for females as far as votes across the country? No. Yes. Whatever.
It depends on what type of female you are. We all know this kind of male, handsome, debonair, and we've taught with some of them. We worked with some of them. Anyway, we all have. And what looks at this point. It's kind of a division. I don't know what the division is. Many women would, he's hot, but other women, I think, would look at that hotness as arrogance. So I'm just going to cross him off on my list.
It's not up there as one of the reasons to think that it's the dial
but
over.
Neither. No. Okay. So two candidates that would be excellent for me.
And by the way, can I just interrupt you before? Sure. I know, folks, you're posting out there all the different people. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay off until Dave's done, and then we're going to look at it, and then we'll kind of go over them because we are not Kreskin here, okay? Dave just said we're not okay.
No. The idea of it is, I think what we'll do.
And by the way, if Veg is close enough in Ontario, that's 15 miles from the American border. We
don't want no Canadian people talking about it. I don't care if it is Veg, even though he is brilliant. I don't care.
He's closer to Washington than you are, by the way. I mean, no, you're not. I take it back. I was thinking you're in Oklahoma or Texas. Sorry about that. All right, okay. I have my Biden moment. All right. Move ahead.
So tonight you started with your mic off, and now you've got somebody 3 metro stops from the White House,
right?
And somebody in Ontario.
I got it. I kept thinking you're down south. All right.
No,
your accent
I'll be there
fools me all the time.
Yeah.
My apologies. That was sick.
Two excellent candidates whose names will be mentioned. One will be Ralph Warnocky, the senator from Georgia, and the other will be Wes Moore, the new governor of Maryland. They are both potential candidates later for something else, and this is just America. Unfortunately, this is not. We're still working out.
But Georgia is the South, and it is a state on the line too.
Well. Come on. I'm going to go there. But what I want to say is, you can't have an all-black ticket. You just can't.
All right, you can't have. Gary pointed this out. You can't have two of each of whatever. You can't have two women.
I'm going to dispute Gary on, but I agree with Gary on this. You can't have two African Americans. It's not ready. Someday, uh, quite probably, it will be. All right, when America is ready for it. All right, so now we've got two big time names that have been circulating, and neither of this will happen. The first is Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama was a pipe dream as a president. She's a pipe dream as a vice president. Michelle Obama is not a politician. I don't even think there'd been a call, and I'm sure there were calls. Come on, Michelle. No, not Michelle Obama. And the other one, which is interesting, Hillary Clinton. But that will not happen either. Hillary would not take a vice presidential.
You don't want to
position.
lose twice. It'll be.
Well, it wasn't. No, I think I honestly think she'd be an asset to the ticket, but it's just not going to happen.
I don't think so. But well,
no, there are people. Well, there are people like there are people. She's been.
It would create more tension in the wrong way, in the wrong direction.
It's all kinds of stuff like that, and also like she's been president one A. You know what I mean? Not with an asterisk.
Right.
I mean, when she and Bill, they were a team. So I mean that plays in her favor, but I don't think she would play second fiddle, and I don't think she should.
No.
All right, let's get another name up there. Two names, one of which you mentioned already, that will be thrown out there. In time, if people could support them. One would be Elizabeth Warren. She would actually be. Brian. I'm dismissing them. Don't do it.
Gotcha.
Don't do it. Elizabeth Warren has a talk show like this, and she's never started the talk show with her mic off. So don't you go.
Okay.
Actually, seriously, no joking aside, I've had living in D.C. I've heard a number of these people speak, and Elizabeth Warren is a captivating speaker. She really is good. But no, and again, it plays up in the age problem. She's older, and the other one, of course, would be Bernie, and Bernie. Actually, even running for president, I did, even though I supported him, in my heart of hearts, he's much more valuable where he is as a senior senator.
Right.
Number one, I don't think he could win the presidency. And if he did, he'd be there on an island. And that's not a good place to be. And the most interesting name I've seen, and this was today, when it wasn't clear yet who would be the president. Al Gore. I said no.
Al Gore. I saw Cheney in there in our site too.
Well, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to that in a moment. You're stealing all my thunder here. No. So Al Gore, the idea being, some people say, well, he actually won, which he did. The win was taken away from him in the Supreme Court. But remember, he's now 76 years old, and this is about getting younger, not getting older. Sort of again, I keep falling back on these sports metaphors and analogies that I don't like to do because sports means nothing and politics means everything. But it's like a team. This team needs to get younger. That's the first thing. So no to Al Gore. Now, a couple interesting names that also would never, ever, ever, ever happen. In fact, if they do, I guarantee I will do a show naked until everybody who watches this show goes blind, which would happen. Two names. Ready? Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney. They've been posted out there. There's some, no, but listen, there is some logic to it if you think about it. But they are not Democrats, okay? They're anti-Trump, but they're not Democrats. What we should hope for America is that they can join the 40 of the 44 closest cabinet members and things to Trump who are not voting for him. That's significant. That number needs to be out there. I know it doesn't affect. I mean, think about it. That's 40. What's that? Like 91% or something? I don't know what the percent, but of the people who would know him best, who've worked with him, who saw him every day do whatever it is he did or didn't do as the presidency, are not backing him, or not endorsing him, or not voting for him. Okay, and that kind of eliminates the people who I think, the names that'll come up. Now, we may find some tonight because our viewers are really in tune. They're also from different places, so maybe. But let's go. If we can, I'm going to put three names, all of which are viable and all of which bring something to the table. And this goes with Gary's idea, which is not just Gary's idea. It's probably a sound political idea of gender balance. Okay. Let's go west to east. Okay, so we'll do that. So the first name that's making the rounds is Mark Kelly, the husband of Gabby Giffords, Arizona senator. Okay, very well spoken, an astronaut. Certainly has what was he called, curriculum vitae, the CV for the position. So I could see that ticket. The only problem with that, or a problem with that, is geography. He's Arizona, she's California. And granted, when you become vice president, the geography maybe isn't quite as important, but they'll make it important. Like I could say they only represent the West. But Kelly is a good candidate who's a possibility. Andy Beshear did almost what's impossible, elected governor of Kentucky, a red state, Mitch McConnell's state, and Paul, what's that weird guy, whatever that guy name is, Paul Rand. So that's something, that's an accomplishment. I don't know though if he's well known enough nationwide. Okay, but he's certainly somebody definitely that should be looked at, vetted, if you will. And that's something I'll come back to with all of them in a moment. And also Andy Shapiro.
Josh Shapiro.
I'm sorry, I said Andy. I meant Nancy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, two prosecutors.
That was my. So that could be a positive, could be a negative. Again,
I think the positive, you got Pennsylvania as a state that you have to win, or should win. That's an important state.
Win. That is, but so is Arizona.
And PA has more votes, unless you're saying that it's going to draw on the other states.
Well, that's what I mean. All this is, you and I and all our listeners.
So you're saying he would probably have an effect on Nevada, which is another big state.
Yeah. So, but Shapiro may draw some, from neighboring states of his. We just don't know. So all those three, I think, are viable and possible, but there are negatives, as there always are with every candidate. My two favorites, now we've gotten to that, and for very different reasons, and they also have negatives. First is Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan. If I were presenting that, I'm going to double down. I'm going to say it's time for women to be in control. It's time. Abortion is the number one issue on the Democratic side. We will guarantee that women we will do everything, we will do everything they can to bring equality to women. Now, I know the negatives, you got to have a man there. I mean, all that's true. However, Whitman will bring Michigan.
And that's important too. That's a big state, so. But like Gary said, having, two of each is problematic.
It's nice, but is it really? I mean,
I don't know. I get what he's saying. I mean, I really do.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with him. I'm just saying this may, everything is problematic until it's not, right? And you can make anything turn around. The question is, what we know is not one. At this point, Donald Trump can do anything. I mean, literally anything, and he's still got his base. It doesn't matter what it is. So you have to look at what ticket best draws people who weren't going to vote for Donald Trump, for whatever reason, and bring them in. So I think Whitmer is a risk. It's a roll of the dice. I'm not saying it should be, but I think I would definitely look at that. And the other is my personal. I think he is the most talented politician right now in America about breaking positions down and explaining them in a way that everybody could understand, and that's Pete Buttigieg.
I knew you said it right. Okay.
Yeah. So
but what's going on the group page and what they feel about it.
Well, here's the thing:
America's not ready. Now, I agree. He is your best, your most intelligent.
Okay, let's examine that for a moment. I agree,
and I have no problem with it. By the way, I don't.
Well, you do, but that's beside the fact. No,
I have no problem with Pete Buttigieg.
Listen to this, Brian, and I'm just playing now. I'm just playing.
Okay.
I would agree with the statement. It doesn't appear America is there yet for a gay man, but let me do it this way. You're not worried about Donald Trump voters.
And right, you're not getting those. That's an absolute. You're absolutely right. You'll get a lot more gay voters, I would imagine. Maybe.
I would assume. No, I mean, well, let's put it like this. If you were a gay man or woman,
In the
and
closet, you might come. Yeah, you might do it. Yeah.
well, I mean, you might do a number of things. So I think
Transvestites, maybe. I mean, all the
no, I mean,
LGBTQ.
so the question becomes with each of these five that I think are the possibilities is do the negatives outweigh the positives? Do the positives outweigh the negatives? What is what is and
Or
so if I
who
were
is the
to,
best candidate, just as a candidate, as a human
I
being?
don't I don't think that enters into it this time, Brian. I really
Mhm.
don't. I think
Okay.
they're all qualified to be president. Now, what we don't know is the deep dark secrets that we all hold, right? Now, yes, they've all been, at a national level. You would think they would be out, but this is
And
a no
Trump will
holds
go
barred.
after them. You know that.
Oh,
And right now,
Trump,
they're
they'll make
already
shit up.
ready. Right. They'll
They'll
make
make
shit up.
shit up,
Right.
and people, might believe it. Um, to let everyone know out there, I pick on Brian all the time, but he has really a lot of, well, not that much. He has a limited amount of talent, but he uses it well. Now, he did a thing this week, really funny. You didn't send it to Gary, did you?
Which that?
The Biden thing you did.
Which Biden
Your
thing?
AI, your AI, the president
Oh
of the
no,
vote
no,
thing.
no, no! I didn't do that.
No,
This is
well, what
just
he
to
did,
you.
no, but what he did, Gary, and it was really good. Um, he had you and I running as a team, but Joe Biden announcing he was supporting us, and I've seen a lot of AI. That was good. I mean, that
Mm.
was good. So my point is, and not taking anything away, you're what would you rate AI? Like the 100th thing you do, and you're getting good at it. The
Yeah,
Republicans have,
I'm getting Republicans really pissed. Like today, I did. So if you check
yeah,
on the Divided We Stand, I
right.
pissed them off already.
But what happens is if you can do that in the limited time you have to do, imagine people who devote to it all
Right,
the
all the
time.
time, and that's
And,
their
and so
job.
and so we're going to have to be so careful for the rest of our lives on this planet. Is it remember the old commercial for those of us who are my age or maybe a little bit younger? Is it live or is it Memorex? Do you remember
Right,
that, Brian? Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
this is now we're living. Is it real or is it fake? Because some of the fakes are very very good. Now Bruce McCulley, another shout out. Gary knows him. We all went to high school together and did some chemicals together over the years. Uh, Bruce raised an interesting point, about Buttigieg. And here's something else that people don't know. Okay, what is his position now, Brian?
Secretary of Transportation.
Right. And Bruce said, if I were a Republican, I'd want him there because we can destroy him. The Ohio incident, remember the
Right.
leak, the bridge, and some other things. Now, so do you know, you don't want to make does that move him down? It certainly doesn't move him up, and it certainly doesn't move him out. Now, what's really good though, let's start with this. Anybody, Kamala and anyone, the team is going to be younger than Trump and Vance. Vance is young, Trump is old. Suddenly now, if people were, what I would hammer home, if you were worried about Joe Biden's age, well, now you've got a 78-year-old man, and I would just point out, I'd run clips of Biden misspeaking, fine. Then run 17 of Trump misspeaking.
Right.
Okay. Um, Again, you've said it, Brian, and articulated it very, very well. That your concern with Democrats in general is that they're not fighters.
Right.
Well, let me
they're weak,
rephrase it.
but they
Well,
appear weak.
my argument to you on that has always been, well, the strength of the Democratic Party is also its weakness. Look, the Republicans only have to worry really about one group: white men. That's it. They don't care about anybody else. They don't care, and so
But they don't want a large African American turnout. That is a fear
well,
throughout the Republican Party.
of course it is. But I'm just saying. But because they don't care about them. They don't care about anybody but rich white. That
Right.
rich, not no, and you can't say that anymore. Rich white men who ass as they kiss, and poor white men who they want ready as their militia to destroy
Right.
the country. That's what Republicans want. That is Mitch McConnell. That is every Republican who's breathing now, who has endorsed Trump. So we can
They see the
exempt Liz,
Hulkamaniacs. They want Hulkamaniacs,
Yeah.
and they're rich. The
yeah,
white rich.
and that's it. And so we can exempt Liz Cheney. Again, what Liz did is courageous. She too, I think, will go down in the history books. I can't believe, I'll make a joke from him, but no, if I were Liz, I'd get it checked. I don't see her being Dick Cheney's daughter. I think she needs a DNA check. No, what Liz Cheney did is indeed courageous. It is okay. She torpedoed her future or foreseeable future forever. But again, she was the most conservative voting member of Congress. You don't put that on the Democratic team. You don't. I mean, it doesn't. It
Right.
doesn't work out. Mitt
And I don't think
Romney.
she would want to be on the Democratic
Oh
ticket.
no,
But
no, 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 no. But I'm just saying, I've seen that a lot today. It does. I mean, it is. I just saw, Veg put up about, or no, Tebow maybe put up about two women. That's intriguing. Well, the cross, pilot, but that is like, I'm sorry. The one thing that I thought Joe Biden is a fighter, but I thought there was a little Don Quixote in him. I think he really thought he could kind of bring the country together, or at least bring the politicians together, and that ship has sailed.
and he was like that as soon as he came in. He was saying,
Well,
"I'm the
he was like
president of
that.
everybody," and
He was
he's
he was like
delusional.
that. Well, but it's nice. I mean, it's a nice dream.
Yeah, it's like 1964, but something like that. But
Actually, if you go back and study history, it's like never.
right,
But
you're probably right.
now, one of the things, living in Washington or living right outside Washington, D.C., one of the interesting things that kind of plays outside of this, but inside of this, we're saying a divided nation. You can't bring Republicans in. In the 1950s, well, even the 40s. So I'd say post-war, from 1945 to 1980, we'll say, which is America's high point, probably. One of the reasons that, well, there was more civility in the world, but it was a little different too. Almost every senator or congressman had their main residence here in Washington, D.C. And age was more a factor than party. Kennedy once lived in an apartment with three others. Two were Republicans, and he and another were Democrats. So it was like, age running around, that kind of thing. Now, everybody's main home is at home because it costs so much money. That's where you campaign. There's less, they've moved to where the Senate has some pretty good hours where they work 2 hours a year or something, just say. So that's changed. And I think everyone who hears this realizes it's a lot harder to hate people until they demonstrate it. You know what I mean? But sometimes you can even overcome it. Like, I'm sure you have friends, or we all have friends that, but you know what? Or family members, you kind of tolerate it. But if you never see them, you're never around them, you're not there. So, Brian, I will go as saying, I don't know who it will be, but I will choose, and I would do a coin flip. No, I would look into the research, but my dream team, if you will, would be, it's hard. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. My dream team would be the two women playing up the women's angle. And the reason I wouldn't put Buttigieg on there, I would, if I were Joe Biden, I'd go, Pete, look, we'll get somebody else to handle this, your job for you a while. You just go out there and win the damn thing for this ticket. And he'd be the guy I want out there. You know what I mean? That's kind of a left-handed compliment because obviously I assume he would want to be on the vice presidential, as a vice presidential nominee. But just as Joe Biden had a patriotic calling and rose to it, which was to step aside, Buttigieg, and do you realize, I did not know this. I did a little research before. Do you know the I mean, sometimes I want to phrase this, the Democratic, high-ranking Democrat who's been on Fox News the most?
Let me think for a second, because it's somebody that has guts. I know that Buttigieg has been on there.
That is correct. Buttigieg has
Okay.
been on. You don't see AOC on there, and they don't invite her.
No,
I liked what you said though. I mean, like I said, I don't know that AOC will ever be in a position to run for president or vice president, but she has really grown a lot. I think when you look at
she's been more pragmatic over the last 6
well,
months.
and that's something that has to be. I mean,
Pragmatism is so important in politics because you're going to be negotiating with different, mindsets. You have to.
The art of compromise. I always said the number one skill you needed to be a successful politician, not for yourself, but for America, is have the ability to compromise without vacating your strong beliefs. All right, now that let's start with that. I want to talk about the COVID, so put
Max,
that back
okay.
up. Okay, so what Max said. Max, I think I would tend to agree with that. Um, and again, COVID for an 80-year-old man is different than COVID there. I do think that it would weigh on the people saying, look, Joe, what if you get it again? What if it is, long COVID?
Right.
What if, and the what ifs, and that. Now we've got global solidarity going 2 women, 24. That's what I said. That's my team. We don't know. We don't know. And it's a big risk. It's a huge risk. But is it, what is it? What's the old saying? You cannot win if you do not play. And
Right.
so we're playing. It's a question of what hand do we want to play. Mine would be, I don't have to decide it. I would let.
Well, Dave, I just want to add what I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not going to say any one specific, but I think this is all logic, and I think you wouldn't necessarily disagree with me. Is that the smart move is whomever you're going to choose should be from an important swing state. It has, because the whole point is, you might have a candidate that's more pliable in terms of the entire populace, but again, this all
Right.
comes down to the electoral college, and
Yes.
winning Pennsylvania or winning Michigan, you have to at least win one of them. You can't lose both of them. You want to win one of them. I don't care who you take, but it's got to happen that way. And maybe it's North Carolina. I don't know if we can win.
No, I'm going to interrupt you, not because you're wrong, but you named the 2 states. Okay.
Okay.
Because,
You have a better chance at Michigan and Pennsylvania than you do in Georgia and North Carolina.
and even to a certain extent, Arizona. But again, it comes down to numbers. Whichever one has the more electors.
This is all pragmatism, by the way. This is all pragmatism.
Oh
That's
well,
it.
what's really nice.
I'm not trying to come up with a secret formula. I'm just saying that this is pragmatism.
But what's interesting is all those names. Every one of those names we mentioned tonight, and I'm sure we left some out that we don't know about, are good political.
They're all good. They're like a dart. You can throw it anywhere in the room and it hits the bullseye.
And so what happens is it's a question of, I assume, first of all, they have to be willing to take the position. Now there were reports today. I don't know if they're true, that Newsom and Whitmer have turned it down. But you can't believe anything until.
Why do you think Whitmer would?
I don't think she did. I think it's just somebody. Look, it could be. It could be a Republican think tank that saw that 2 women, they polled, this quickly. Oh my God, look at that! Trump's losing by 700,000. So, and they put it out. But the first thing would be you have to be willing to take the vice presidency, and that'll eliminate probably some of the names. As I said, I wouldn't think Newsom would take him, just because of who he is, and not that that's a bad decision. If you believe in signs, remember you called me today to let me know, because I was tra-la-la alone, and on the metro you called me, and so I decided to get off and not do what I was going to do and come back and do some research.
Decided to do what?
I said I decided to come back and do some research.
No, before that you said something else. You said you decided. Well, I don't want to go into that. So.
Does HR know about this? Who's Brian is picked on by Dave. Oh,
Thank you, Global.
You mean human resources? Okay, Global. I'm gonna reveal something right now. Human resources, by its very name, deals with humans. Brian is not completely human. I have
This guy.
irrefutable proof that while he's not, he is a hybrid between Uranus and a human. But anyway, that's why HR doesn't get involved in these decisions.
You should have heard his retirement speech. He didn't talk about retirement. He talked about me for half an hour.
I did.
What? No, and this is the truth. I probably said this before in the show, but Dave is interesting. I know we're just going off on a tangent here. It was
That's
just kind of
fine.
interesting because very rarely do people give retirement speeches, but because Dave was very popular at the high school, we all came into the auditorium, and the principal said, "Would you like to give a speech?" And he said, "I would." Dave didn't say anything, not one thing about his retirement. He just started talking about me being a space alien, and these teachers were looking back at me like this. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and he didn't. And I asked him after, what do you? He said, I don't care about the retirement speech or anything. He just, whatever's at that moment. That's what Dave said. So, but I take it as a compliment because
You should.
I mean, he spent all his life teaching, and he talked about me. So, look,
Well,
Dave jokes. And we're very good
no,
friends.
I'm not about you. I'm
Okay,
serious.
okay.
No. We'll get back on it. Uh,
Thank
now,
you, Global. Though, thank
yeah,
you.
if you believe in signs, you want an ooey sign. I'm not saying this works. So back to setup. You called me. I didn't go do what I was going to do. So I came back and I got off, but I still wanted to walk some more. So I got off a metro stop before hours coming back, and I walked through the mall area. And guess what was the first thing I saw when I went in?
Into the
A bit.
mall.
Yeah, you won't guess. So I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Okay, they're everything in our area is in flux with Amazon coming. Everything's being built. I mean, there's just everything. So this new place is being built, and guess what its name is? No, you won't guess. The first thing I see in giant letters, Whitmer. It's a
Really?
name. It's the name of the apartment complex. So maybe that's a sign.
Maybe it's a sign. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But anyway, you know what? I'm going to be now. This is just me, and I don't expect anyone else to do this. I'm actually more optimistic tonight than I was because even though to own 107, do you know we're going to have to speed up this process and everybody's going to have to do double duty. And I think the Democrats will come through and it'll make, there can't be any laggards. I don't think there will be. I mean, I think sometimes I can do it tomorrow, right? I can do it tomorrow. There's no tomorrow. Twice. There's no tomorrow, literally, because it's 107 days till the election. And there's no tomorrow, as we know it, if Donald Trump gets elected.
Right.
So,
and we don't even know, even if Harris gets elected, we don't know what will happen after. I keep worrying about that's a whole topic here. We have not even touched.
And let's bring that up. And
they've got the Supreme Court in their pockets.
I guess you saw already. Mike Johnson comes out and said the Republicans will take legal action.
They're going to sue
everywhere.
So they want to cause all kind of, just like Manchin getting involved and trying to stop the positive news cycle.
But there comes a point, and I think we're at that point where, again, I don't think the Republicans understand anybody but their voters.
Right.
And I think doing all this now, and the other thing, why two women? You don't necessarily, I mean, you can't be any more anti-woman than Donald Trump.
We need to crush them. I mean, there's no doubt.
Well, and I think, again, I don't think Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden had as good a chance of winning, not as last time. He could have won, but I think we have a better chance with this new team. And trust me, Global. They're working on it right now. There's some other things that we won't talk about. We'll talk about next show or maybe the midweek show.
Because we're going to have a show sometime doing what the Republicans are going to be doing behind the scenes.
We got to wait on that. Let's do a little Republicanism. So here's where I'm going to leave it, and then you
we do want to check out, and I do want to at the end put the different choices that people.
Oh no, we are, but I'm saying so we'll run over a little bit tonight,
right?
As long as my wife will let me. Now, what I want to say is really kind of what I would have said if it were Biden, but with a twist. So for Joe Biden, I said the two words. I think he will go down as one of the greatest sacrificial politicians. You know how we honor the people who throw themselves on the grenade and save hundreds of thousands or save lives. I think he will get that same kind of play if we win. The other thing is, I don't really care who's picked. To me, this election has one purpose: stop Donald Trump.
And it is a war. It is a cold civil war.
Well, and of course it heated up last Saturday. So, Brian, your final thoughts just on the thing today, Biden.
Well, like I said, I mean, I love Joe Biden, and as a human being, I think he's a decent person. I was explaining to my Russian friends, one that's not necessarily, she's a good teacher, but she's a person who loves Putin, and she sees Trump as good compared to Biden. I said, he's talking about the rich. I said, Joe Biden was not from a rich family. He worked his way up.
No,
he was a normal guy. And as you said, Dave, he did the right thing for the country. He didn't have to. I mean, who knows? And he may have even been right staying in it. but he did the right thing. He maybe a little bit late, but no, he did the right thing. And these days there's the flow of media, Dave, is so quick that I'm not so sure it even matters that it was only 109 days. I mean, I'm glad that it
No,
was
and
now,
no,
but I think things can turn around very, very quickly. Just like in like you said, the sports
and
analogy. Sometimes a team gets hot and
well,
then you can't stop it.
let's think about it. A week
Now,
ago,
who's the older candidate now? You know what I
well,
mean?
that's what I'm saying. Now suddenly you got a whole brand new game, and just to support what you said, how quick it can turn around. Uh, Last Saturday, it could have been a whole different by a quarter of an inch or whatever, right? So anyway, it'll play out now. So let's get to the
And by the way,
opposition.
I don't know. First, I just want to say I don't care. Like you, I don't care who the vice presidential candidate is or will be, but I think that again, as I said, it should be from a swing state where you're going to get the
And
most bang for your buck.
but you know what?
And that doesn't even guarantee you're going to get that state too. I mean, Al Gore couldn't win Tennessee, so
Here's the thing. I don't care if it's Kamala Harris's dead great 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 grandfather. I'm
mhm.
voting. I'm voting for the Democrat who's opposing Trump, and I can feel
It's that
good about
serious.
it.
It's that serious.
And it's the right vote, and I don't even have to think about it. And I'm glad I don't have to pick between Mark Kelly, Andy Beshear, Gretchen Whitmer, Andy Shapiro, Pete Buttigieg, and anybody else who comes up. That's a strong lineup, but you can only take one. All right, so let's talk about the other side. Donald Trump wasn't a very good week for Donald Trump.
No, he's got a lot of things he's got to clear up now.
Well, that and also
His
it was a
speech
love.
was horrible. It was,
Well, that's what I wanted to do. It was a love fest. It was a sickening love fest. I posted, but I want to go on record as saying, Hulk Hogan, I always thought you were trash. I always thought you were terrible. And now
you were right.
the fact that in the locker room you called black people niggers, that you were always phony. Eat your vitamins while you're swallowing steroids like they're going out of style. Uh, Anyway, you showed who you were, but the party faithful ate it up, right? It's the Hulkster. Again, I think if I were a doctor dealing using Botox, a specialist, I would have hung out there. Look at Donald Trump Jr.'s perpetual girlfriend. She was an attractive lady. Now she looks like I call it the Mar-a-Lago look, with the Botox and lips. Your buddy Matt Gaetz. They all had their moments. Kid Rock. Come on, Kid Rock was talented when he had the little guy with him. He's now a mess. I'm surprised they didn't have Ted Nugent in his loincloth. I mean, he had what? How many actors, actresses were there? I understand that that's not important, but it is important because they can raise money, but also, yeah.
Well, how do we battle? How do we battle the theater that they have in that part? That's what bothers me the most because that is
What?
effective. I don't care what the theater,
Oh.
the pageantry that they. I mean,
Yeah.
they immediately, like you saw what Manchin did. He put his block in. He's really a Trumper. So let's not even kid ourselves.
Well, no, I mean, I wouldn't give.
He's been the number one asshole out there. Dave, we're losing your volume here for a second. I don't know what's your volume. Okay.
You're breaking up on your end too.
All right. Maybe it's just I don't know what's going on.
It's your system. Anyway, no. But to get back to what happened, but anyway, it really was. I mean, it was. If you were looking for theater, what was it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, it was theater. It was, it was pretty good. And then you've come to the final act, right? And that's going to be Donald Trump. And virtually every historian and virtually every commentator who's not, a card-carrying member of MAGA or the Republican Party, and even some who were, said that will go down as the worst acceptance speech in American presidential history. He started off pretty well. And then that was the first maybe 15, 17.
He can't be anything but himself. And this
Well,
is where
that's it. And what's kind of neat about it is, it was heralded, this is going to be, and it started out that way. I'm going like, wait a minute, he's actually kind of being kind of conciliatory. What the hell, this? And then, of course, he went back, a laughing Kamala Harris, was it Kamala, crazy Nancy, Of course, Hannibal Lecter. I, I keep saying, I just keep wanting to say, you do understand Trump.
Doesn't he
that he's a
sound?
ma-
That sounds like something a junior high school kid would say in an
Well,
argument.
they said actually there was one very well said that speech sounded, and right on the money you said. So one commentator said that speech sounded like a fourth grader who was told they had to speak for 10 minutes and had 1 minute worth of things to say. And that's exactly
Right.
what it is. Is drawing bigger crowds now that Taylor Swift ever has.
Bullshit.
Yeah, but again, his people don't care. They have to know. Some of them have to know it's lies, but they don't care. They either hate, fear, or will benefit from him, and they're just not going to change. But Trump really did hurt himself with the group he has to appeal to, and that's those voters who haven't made up their mind, and they're out there. I don't know how many of them are, but there are some. I'm always amazed, Brian, and we all have a little tendency, like if we're interested in it, we think everybody is, and they're not. So politics is always a passion of mine. But I'm amazed when they do surveys about names that second nature to me. I don't know who he is. Pete Buttigieg. I don't know who he is. People say that. So there is a feeling, and this gets to your 107 days that we have. There's a feeling that undecided voters really don't make their decision until
Right, but what I'm saying is the whole idea of understanding how popular culture works, how propaganda works. Just like you said, there are people that say, "Who's Pete Buttigieg?" They don't know who he is, but they know who Hulk Hogan is, and this is where the Democrats have to start wising up. I'm not saying you have to be Trump, but you have to effectively communicate in a way that type.
Let's look at that.
Short sound bites, something.
Right. Well, or understandable. That's where look, Joe Biden.
Taylor, no, I'm talking use Taylor Swift to try to get her about some of it.
She will. Taylor will come on board, especially
my Smiley Cyrus or whatever their name is.
No, well, they and there's a lot. Who came on board? Mick Jagger. He was taking shots at Trump on the
but
tour.
Unfortunately he's not American. But yeah.
Well, no, I mean, so
it would help. It can't hurt. It can't hurt. But he's kind of out of it. I think you need the rappers.
No.
You need everybody.
Well, I understand. And
you got to get first of all, you need the black vote has to come out to win Pennsylvania, and there's where the rappers got to come in.
There's a
like
lot of
Snoop Dogg.
There are a lot of new young black rappers who are favoring Trump. That part is true.
Well, we don't want that.
The reason being is they don't really have much talent. No, I mean, whatever reason, but it's not going to be decided by celebrities. It can be decided by pageantry. It can be decided, unfortunately, it won't be decided on the issues. But anyway, I really do think, bottom line, Donald Trump hurt himself tremendously with that, whatever it was, 92-minute, whatever that was. He did not gain.
He'll be willing to debate. Now you got to deal with somebody like Harris.
I wouldn't. The thing, wouldn't it be great?
Harris, if you get Buttigieg, Harris, Vance is in big trouble. Big trouble.
Well, either way, the vice presidential thing is, that's
unless you can just have a Lloyd Benson moment that can help out.
But no, it's true. No, if I were Trump, I would not take on Kamala. But wouldn't it be great if she hit a zinger and a zinger, right? And all of a sudden, and I don't know if you heard the rally he had in Michigan. I thought this was very telling. Maybe the most telling remark he's ever said. He said, and I forget the context coming, he says, they were laughing at me. I hate that. They were laughing at me. I hate when people laugh at me. Well, what if she could zing him enough? And he said, shut up, you nigger bitch. Not without the
that would be it for him. You'd hope he'd slip. It's possible with him because, he's a stream of consciousness and he might slip.
And we already know, pretty much determined, that he used that word frequently on the set of The Apprentice. That's been pretty much verified. He doesn't have any use for minorities or women and the other thing that's interesting, and I don't know what you make of it, I just thought this was so sad in a way, if I could feel sadness for the Trump family. His youngest daughter, I don't know if you saw that. She walked out to give him a kiss, and he didn't even acknowledge her.
Who's
It was
this?
like, who?
Who's it?
Trump.
Trump.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was like, what's going on? What's
Yeah, what is going on? Hey,
interesting?
is that you?
No, it's my secret contact in Washington
Is that
D.C. calling me.
Stormy calling you?
No. This is in fact, if you, well, you won't get it. He was pictured tonight with the next president of the United States. He and Kamala are pretty close. So maybe he's telling me what we should do on the show next time. Um, so the other thing is, and we need to just address a little bit, but again, I think this is not the night for it. We still have a lot of questions about the assassination. For anybody who didn't see our midweek show, just by sheer luck, I happened to be at the FBI, and I happened to be able to talk to one of the agents who was actually doing on-floor work, but she had been part of the team that looked at the first pictures, coming back, and she couldn't tell you any secrets, but um, gave me a little bit of insight into it. But right now, we know the shooter. Now, some things that I saw this week, and I'm not really sure. I got to go back and check. There was a report that he flew a drone, but we don't know if that's true. We don't know if that's true. I mean, everything has
It's
to
almost
be
like out of the
verified.
news cycle now, believe it or not. You normally
Well,
used to be,
because yeah, I mean, well, think about it.
and I'm glad because I'm sick of it.
Well, I know that, but there's still the idea, and I will say this: I actually feel sorry, unless there's some way implicated, which I don't think there will be. There will have to be people let go from the Secret Service. I don't care. As unfair as it is, you cannot make that mistake. I mean, when you hear about the number of minutes, it almost sounds like he was carrying the ladder and the gun through the crowd. I mean, he wasn't, but there's just too many. Now, what probably happened is it was a lack of coordination, right?
As again, Uvalde or Uvalde, whatever.
Yeah,
It's the same
yeah,
thing.
and that's what happens, and it's very
It
unfair.
was worse in Uvalde because there they just chickened out and didn't do anything, just let the kids
Yeah,
die.
but here, but as we look at that, um, it's funny how things are raised and then kind of go by. I remember I mentioned, and it was Bob Woodward, so it does give some credence to it. Woodward wanted kind of a look in. Biden was so bad in that debate, he wondered if he could have been dosed in some way with something.
Well, that's what
Right.
we kind of alluded
Yeah,
to.
but I'm just, but that's it doesn't matter now.
I mean, can you slip somebody's a Mickey, at a place like that? I mean, who knows if they can get
Well, and there are people in the Secret Service still loyal to Donald Trump who don't. Joe Biden drop coffee. Who knows? I mean, I'm just saying. So I do feel sorry. The other thing, though, that may also play in my desire to have, or a possibility of a Gretchen Whitmer, Kamala Harris team. Did you see the way they brutalized the female agents
yes,
on social media?
right.
They're too short. They're women. I don't care. I don't care what you say. A woman can't protect a man. Listen, to all those people, and they're not our listeners or our viewers. I'm going to just say, if any Trumper should ever stumble upon this in the future, you don't want to fight my wife. There's women out there that are great. I mean, not great, but I mean, in that kind of thing. So anyway,
Well, by the way, that's probably why I'm saying that I think the focus for celebrities would be female celebrities to get the female vote because they're more likely to vote and they're more
the ones
likely to
we
be
need.
liberal. Right.
Yeah.
We need them.
And again, we can sit here all night, and most of us would, if the topic were, how can a woman vote for Trump? Well, I can't answer that question, but I know some of them do. So the question is not how, the question is not how can a woman vote for Trump? It's the question is now, how do we get a woman to vote for Kamala and whoever her running mate is? And the only reason I would see not to vote for Kamala, I got to be honest with you, is, party politics, Republican, Democrat. The other would be racism or sexism. There's no other reason, right? There isn't. I mean, what could you say? I don't like the colors that she wears. Well, that's kind of sexism. So we have something interesting. We have a younger woman bringing race to the table. That's on there now. With Joe Biden and Donald Trump, race wasn't there. It was tangential, right? Now it's right there. We have sexism right there.
Right. That's a good thing. Roe versus Wade, boom.
And the thing is, we know Trump doesn't plan, so he's liable to slip. But I do believe he is a misogynist, and I do believe he's a racist, and but
Absolutely.
a different kind. Maybe he's against anybody who isn't him.
Right. He will. He
You
just
know,
goes off. It doesn't matter. He is a stream
right?
of consciousness, and he will say what he has to say. And in that sense, I think we're going to be okay. But I don't think they're going to want to put him up there in debate against any of them,
And I'm going to
especially
go for
since
the
she's a
first.
prosecutor. She's really good at it. Unless it's a Fox thing where you have
No,
Hannity
but even
controlling it.
but no, even there's a falling out. Trump doesn't like Fox now, and Fox is kind of worried about him.
Well, you wouldn't know it because Fox is still
Jeff,
defending him left and right.
Jeff, you've got yes, a number of my students became female. In fact, one of my good friend's daughters was a Secret Service woman assigned to Hillary Clinton when she was the wife of Bill Clinton. Anyway, so Brian, why don't you put up any of the comments and we'll kind of roll out with
Yeah,
that.
let's roll from the beginning
The
here
deal,
and just see
yeah.
what we have.
Let's just see what we have because this is something we've been
I want
talking
to
about
get
doing.
after the initial like hello to everybody here, and then
Yeah,
we start going.
make sure because this is not our show; it's everybody's show.
Okay, and I had everybody identify where they were from. At least hopefully, not everybody did,
Right.
but so I mean, you don't have to say your exact city if you don't want folks, but just tell us what state
Yeah.
you're from, and that's okay.
Now, when you do that, do you identify yourself as being from Uranus or from Earth?
Bad joke, bad joke.
No, it wasn't.
All right,
a joke.
all right.
It wasn't a joke.
Let me. I'm trying to get to the points where the people are talking about the picks. Okay, here we go. Here's the first one. T-Bone, Pete Buttigieg.
Fine. We talked about it. Pete is a
Okay.
great choice.
And Jeff says, Mark
Again,
Kelly.
talked about Mark Kelly. Mark is a great choice.
And here's a guy I really like, but Rhode Island's already in Biden's in the Democrats' camp, so he doesn't really help us. He's a no-name, but he's great. He's the best of them all, I think.
Well, I don't know if he's the best of all, but he's very, very good. I just think it's a name that would be, yeah, he'd be good if, you know.
When it's all done for Sheldon, they're going to say, what a great guy he should have been, could have been.
And he may be. He's still young enough. There's a future for him.
Well, he's a prosecutor, and by the way, we have both two prosecutors, as I said. You have Kamala Harris, and you have Josh Shapiro being prosecutors, so they can't say they're weak on crime.
No.
Let's see.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think Gary makes a good point there. And she'd turn him. She didn't even make it up.
Well, like I said, I'm not. I hope I'm not dismissing Newsom because I'm not a Newsom fan. I'm really not. I mean, I would support him, but there's just something that says to me, hold off. Buttigieg
There's an
again.
explanation by T-Bone.
The word I like there, T-Bone, that you used. He is definitely genuine.
Yeah,
and
he will win any debate.
Yeah,
he's the closest thing to a Hitchens in terms of being able to just spout things off and have his facts. Okay. They just made a comment, Dave, that just don't lean back too far because then your volume gets real low.
Gotcha.
Okay. But that does bring up the point: is America ready to accept a gay vice president?
We brought that up. You know how we find out? I mean, I'm not saying you roll the dice. I mean, we'll never know until we know.
Not going to happen, as you said.
Nope, it will not happen.
I'll put this up here. Real question is, will America accept a strong black female? Because yes, the Republican males don't like strong women. They just
here's the thing: they're not going to vote for. They're not the ones you're looking for. They're not the votes you're looking for.
Okay.
They're going to be with Trump for the most part.
Let's see. Cream and sugar oil. Your face a little strong. I wouldn't put Mary Trump there, but she's a good person.
Well, I mean, no. The idea of it is, that's always been kind of a dream. When John McCain really considered Joe Lieberman as a cross, but it's just not.
I don't think Mary Trump's. She's not going to want to. But I understand what you're saying.
No, I'm saying it's not an outlandish idea.
Okay, so I'm gonna translate this for everybody here. First of all, he says hello to me. Thank you, T-Bone. He says a strong black woman, or strong black women. He said that's the plural there. But
what language is that?
Russian.
There's
I'll read it for you in
no.
Russian.
No,
Okay.
there's
Привет, Brian.
there's
Сильвия,
7,000 there's
чернокожая
7
женщина.
there's
Okay.
7,000 letters in that says a strong black woman.
You,
No wonder
but you know,
no wonder
it's interesting
Russia's
that
in trouble.
Russian alphabet has 33 letters versus our 26. However, the English alphabet has 44 sounds, and the Russian alphabet has 42 sounds. So, you have a give and take. It's kind of strange. But thank you, T-Bone. It was, when I read it, sometimes I don't think, because I think in Russian a lot of times, and then when I see that,
Would
there's
you
no change. It
would
just
you
moves over.
would you repeat what you just said? I believe you said, and then you qualified it, but you said sometimes I don't think. That should be your mantra.
Okay. Let me see. So here, Gary, 2 women is intriguing. Those 2. Bruce thinks Pete has job performance issues on the top.
And
of
we
the
brought
hours.
that up, Gary. I saw Bruce's. I'm sure you. Well, obviously, you're commenting on it. You said, and Bruce. No, none of you know him, but he's pretty smart, and he's spent billions
Nice
of
to
years
get him
in
on
government.
here, but we'll see.
In government. He's always flying his plane. He's retired now.
That's just a prediction that Jeff says he's
And Jeff,
possible.
you know what? You know how they always say I didn't have that on my bingo card. I would put that on my bingo card if I could, because he will, or call her. I don't know. Maybe call her buckwheat. I don't know.
Okay. So again, T-Bone, this is the second person said that 2 women on the ticket is in trade. Okay. Yeah, and I think perhaps now we can turn the table. Let's let the Republicans say he's not old.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. That was one of their big things, right? He's too old. Well, now who's too old?
That's fantastic, and they know that now, so they'll have to prepare for that.
He's also Gary. You could add old, old, incompetent, right? And,
dirty old man, basically.
No, he's also incontinent, I think, too.
That was left in German until Obama skin color guy. That seems to be a problem with these races.
Well, no offense, we all had them. I don't know. I don't think that guy would vote for Biden now either. If it's a guy or girl.
So again, I hope they were worried about that.
Yeah.
Veg talks about Manchin, which again he was trying to. I mean, I believe there was no coincidence. Like as soon as
let him bring Manchin on. I mean, I don't think Joe Manchin would steal one.
I think he just said it just to try to cut the news cycle.
Or as I said, I don't think Joe Manchin would draw one vote from Kamala Harris from a person who would vote for Kamala Harris.
Right. I mean, aside from West Virginia, which is already going to be a Trump state, what the fuck?
And that we talked about Max's comment, and I think Max,
right,
has something.
Max is right.
Really, right there. I think COVID had something to do with this decision. It played in.
So, first, Global says 2 women in 24. Okay, so she's
well,
ready.
Because the other thing I'm going to bring up, and this will be my last comment. Of course, I'm the one who proposed this, so I want all the glory now. What about this, Brian? You ready? I haven't been to the White House, inside the White House, since Donald Trump was president. I was in the White House Thursday, and suddenly Joe Biden retires. Coincidence? What if it wasn't?
All right, we're going on to the next. God damn it. This was a good show until that comment.
I had you going. That's all.
Coincidence. Dave's coincidences.
I always.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Yes, he does.
People,
let me just see if there's anything else, Dave. I'm trying to just run through it.
Go back. Is Dave taking bets? Go back to that one. I love when, but no, I don't want to see my.
I want to just see if there's any more.
No, go back to that
names.
for a minute.
I can't
go
find
back.
It, Dave. I can't find it. It's Dave taking bets, risking.
Yeah.
I risk everything in firstborn.
No, but if I'll risk. Let's see. Global. If you send me all your credit card numbers, no. Yeah, Global. Let's do a bet, okay? Friendly bet. Do you want a money amount? You let me know through the website here. Or dinner, or you want to bet me whatever. Yes, I'll take that.
Francis Biden should use the power the Supreme Court gave him before he leaves. That'd be interesting. Might have to at some point.
Well,
they will screw him over.
Did you see this week? Now try this on for size, just for a second. Did you see this week that he did change? He was calling for term limits and ethics.
Right. Yes, he did change.
Now, what about if part of all this thinking is It doesn't matter what he does now. Being a lame duck is often looked at as negative, but it can be positive too.
Right.
He could put in whatever a president can do to mess with the other side because he doesn't have to worry about whether to elect him or not. So that's kind of interesting.
Exactly.
I mean, it can't. He's not going
Right.
to, but it could be.
He's not gonna do what Trump would do, because you know what Trump did it anyway, even when the Supreme
Well,
Court didn't get the power,
right.
January 6th.
Right.
Okay, we're getting benefits. Okay. Okay. You heard about get best Jesse Ventura, and you get whatever you can get.
Yeah.
But Jesse Ventura is not a Democrat. He is an independent. And I think he leans toward the Republicans.
He would be. I would consider him to be, and I think he considers himself to be a libertarian.
I'm not a big fan of Jesse Ventura. He talks a lot of shit, and
Well,
he's
funny. I mean, he's funny where Hulk Hogan comes across as just an egotistical asshole. But no, I don't think Ventura is a.
Judy's
one
in the house here. Of course, Bridgeton Sewell. Great to see Judy. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'm with you, Judy.
I'm fluent in redneck and hill. Because Jeff's from West Virginia, right? So, I guess.
Well, I got.
He can imitate it well.
Brian went the other way. He's fluent in Russian. I joined you because in South Jersey, both redneck and hillbilly are the second language of South Jersey.
Yeah, we've covered them all, Dave. We've covered all the comments, and
that's
interesting
good.
night.
All right,
we had to come on tonight, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, and everybody, again, thank you very much. I just a personal thing. I like when you send comments in, simply because one of our goals is not to make it the Brian and Dave show. We want to make it.
And please keep subscribing and joining our
asking people. I'm going to make a push because I think Brian is right on the money on this. This thing isn't over necessarily on the first Tuesday or second Tuesday, whatever it is in November, because there'll be a lot. All right, Brian, I'm going to go and do whatever it is I'm going to do, and we'll see you later.
Keep your hearts beating, folks, because we got an election. Okay, we'll see you for everybody.